What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Unlockables podcast, the story of video games, the people who play them, and the memories made along the way. As always, I am your host, Eric, and I appreciate you very much tuning in. Wherever, whenever in time and space you might be located, it means so much to me that you spend a little bit of your time each and every week here with us. Or maybe it's your first time, I don't know, but you're here now, and that's all that matters. But enough about that. I want to get into my guest today because, yes, I finally have a guest back. I'm finally done doing the solo episodes because I'm feeling a little bit better. I have with me, waiting in the wings, the man who will single-handedly overthrow Garreg Mach Monastery, leader
already
of... already have. All right. That's what I like to hear, sir. It is, of course, my best boy, good friend of the show, Kolby from Switched Up Podcast. Kolby, how you doing today, sir?
I'm calling shenanigans on an intro stuff. That was one take. That was flawless.
I'm gonna edit that out so that nobody knows that.
I'm doing good, man. Can't really complain. Just
that's good.
Enjoying the summer. Just doing typical young 20s summer things. Working, playing video games. Doing nothing sometimes, and just taking it one day at a time. Enjoying life. Can't really complain over here.
Right off the bat, I appreciate you making me feel old. The long lost days of summer, man. That feels like a different lifetime ago. I would kill to get that back, but that's
it wasn't
awesome,
my intention. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. All the boomers over here start podcasts when during the pandemic, so that's just kind of what it is right now.
True.
Yeah,
it's true.
So, but before we get started we're going to talk about your show and talk a little bit about you specifically. I just wanted to ask, and I think I probably know the answer for this, and I'm very excited. What have you been playing lately?
Well, it's funny you ask. The first time we ever linked up for a show was on Pixel Project Radio when we talked about Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah,
and now the first time we link up on this show, I'm playing Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes.
Absolutely.
So when we do another collab in about 3-4 years, maybe we'll be getting another Fire Emblem Three Houses spinoff or something like that. So looking forward to it already. But yeah, today I actually finished the second of the 3 routes. I finished Golden Wildfire, Claude's route, the Golden Deer. I finished Scarlet Blaze, finished Golden Wildfire. Enjoyed it. Claude's my favorite character in video games like ever. I just have such a great attachment to him. I think he's a great leader and a lot of fun to play as. Just I like the Wyvern Rider with the bow. I think that's badass. Mm-hmm. But yeah, finished that today. A lot of great material they carry over from Three Houses. A lot of interesting story beats and plots. Unfortunately, I don't think all of them are executed in the best way. But regardless, I liked it better than Scarlet Blaze, which we've already talked about Scarlet Blaze. Maybe a little bit too much on our end, but
the marathon episode that is spectacular, by the way. So definitely go listen to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I put a lot of hard work into that and a lot of Scarlet Blaze talk there. But anyway, I started Azure Gleam today. Dimitri's route, the final route.
Nice.
New Game Plus allows me to basically speed run the tutorial. So I just hit plus on everything, skip every cutscene, and just get straight to the gameplay. So I have like 20 minutes played and going through that right now. Looking forward to finishing that. But yeah, that's basically been it on my end. I'm gonna throw it back to you. What have you been playing? But I also feel like I know the answer to this question because my co-host is playing the same thing.
Yeah, that's no secret. Before you toss it to me, I just wanted to ask because, yeah, like you said, we were on that Pixel Project Radio episode about Three Houses, which also plug that one. Go listen to that because that's a great episode too. Rick and Ben on hiatus now, but that episode, not just because we're on it, because
they took a page out of our book.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Only we get to quit. That's only
exactly.
we get to quit. But yeah, that was a great episode. Not because we were on it, because Rick just put together a great episode in general. But
definitely. But
I just wanted to ask you because I'm kind of in the same camp you were in regards to Three Houses. I liked as a character Claude the most of the Three Lords, and I liked his route the most. I thought it was the most unique between all of them. Without spoiling anything, because I know you're going to have an in-depth dive on your show. Is that kind of what you found so far with the routes you've experienced? Is that it's the premier route, the route you've liked the most?
So far, yeah, I like that route a lot better than Scarlet Blaze. I think Claude's actually a lot more compelling in this game than he is in Three Houses because you get an in-depth look, and same with Edelgard, of these 19, 20-year-old kids leading their factions for the first time, and the entire continent's at war. So you get to see more of like an in-depth at their struggles and, you know, some of the darker sides. Like we get a darker side of Claude for this game, not levels of Dimitri in Three Houses, but it's definitely a darker Claude for a good couple chapters there, where he's a big schemer and he's not letting anybody in, even his allies, on what he's up to, and it actually ends up costing him the trust of some of his comrades. Not to get too spoilery, but it's super interesting. Claude himself, so they show you a whole different side of him. Edelgard, I think they do a lot better with her character. Again, still some things here and there that can be tweaked a little bit. Tyler put it best. I think she's the least likable of the three, which isn't a bad thing. They're all likable, but as the aggressor of the war in this game as well, it's the same conflict. I think it's easy to be a little bit more turned off by her, but nonetheless, I think that their characters and a bunch of other side characters get a lot of well-deserved shine and light in this game, and that's been the most pleasing part of it, is that the characters in the world definitely get a lot more in-depth looks. For a Warriors game, it's definitely surprising.
For sure. I think that was the thing I was most excited about. I'm going to pick it up. I'm just playing too many other things right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I think of everything that Three Houses does great, the cast of characters is definitely a strength in making you feel that camaraderie. So that's cool. I always found that Cloud's was the most compelling of the lords, not just in Three Houses, but kind of overall in Fire Emblem in general. A lot of the lords are kind of very stuffy and regal, whereas Claude is a little more like laid back, and I like that a lot. And he puts on a laid back, like you were mentioning, like he puts on a laid back face, but he very much has like thoughts and concerns like going on underneath. So just adds an additional dimension to his character. I really like that. So yeah, I think I'll definitely pick that one up, and I'll be excited to talk to you about it when I do play it. Is this your first experience with Warriors Musou style games?
No, I played Age of Calamity, which we talked that game to death, obviously, because it's a Breath of the Wild spinoff, and Tyler and I are both Breath of the Wild fanatics. So played Age of Calamity, so I do have some Musou experience. It's not my favorite style of combat by any means. Like, it literally hurts my eyes in cases, because you have to look at so many things at once, and my Y button's fading away slowly on my Pro Controller.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. Like, there's a little like crater in there right now. Just gotta get through one more route, and then it can finally rest.
Yeah, I'm a longtime fan of the Warriors games. I've been playing them as far back as like Dynasty Warriors on like the PlayStation 2. So, which it's interesting that concept. Yeah, it's interesting that concept translated over, and it was shocking, like I said, when they decided to do it with Zelda, and even more so with Fire Emblem. But it works, and it's, if you need to let off a little steam, it's nothing like mowing down hundreds of baddies. At the end of the day, it's a real power fantasy, that's for sure. So
yeah, the game will be like, you killed 1,600 troops. That's only a B grade. I'm like, what the hell?
That's how much more murder do I need for the top rank? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like at S rank, you have to kill at least 2,500 troops. I'm like, okay, cool.
God, that's insane.
I'm like, awesome, and I have to do it in like less than 10 minutes somehow. Great.
That's nuts. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to picking that one up. But like you said, yeah, you hit the nail on the head as far as what I'm playing. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, that expansion came out. The timing of COVID was really auspicious, because I tested positive for COVID the day the expansion came out. And I was like, this sucks, but it's also kind of awesome, because when you're my age and working and stuff, your uninterrupted amounts of time to play games like that don't happen very often. So literally it was over the 4th of July weekend, and I'm like, I have an excuse to not go anywhere now. I'm just going to play the shit out of Monster Hunter. So that's what I've been doing. I've gotten through most of, I would say, like the main quest stuff. I'm starting to get into the end game stuff now. So, but yeah, I know Tyler, your friend Tyler, is a big fan. So will we get any Monster Hunter talk on the podcast at all?
Surprisingly, I put the ball in his court last episode to talk, and he's like, no, we need to give the people what they want. We ended up talking for 3 hours about Fire Emblem. So if we talked about Monster Hunter, that would have been a 6-hour episode. For sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've already said, if he's listening to this too, I'm going to give him a call, because I'm planning to do.
I already planned them. I already prepped them. I asked Eric,
Perfect.
Does he have 12 hours to spare? Because that's how long you're going to be on the phone with him about that game. Gotta say, you're lucky your boss doesn't listen to your show, because if he would have found out Monster Hunter Sunbreak came out the same day you got COVID, I'm sure you would have got a phone call that day.
Nobody knows that I do this show. It's all internet people, so it's a blessing. Yeah, it really is.
Enjoy it while it lasts, because when family finds out it's over, it's time to end it.
Exactly. I don't need people prying into that. Although I did do a Google search on myself, because a couple other people were like, yeah, if you search your name, like your podcast comes up. So I searched mine, and like it's on like the first page of Google, and I'm like, this is terrible.
It's over.
I don't need people seeing this.
This is the last episode.
Yeah, I have to cancel and go into hiding now. So, but yeah, Monster Hunter, and then I've obviously been playing Kingdom Hearts for the show. Everyone knows that. I'm for episode 1 of Guiding Keys, been knocking that out, and then I've been dabbling back into Civilization 6, the addictive turn-based game that has been destroying. That honestly, the last 2 days has been destroying my life. I haven't played Monster Hunter or played Civ, and
Is that your Advance Wars scratch right now?
It really is, yeah. I've been looking for something turn-based. I have been playing Advance Wars Dual Strike emulated on my laptop. Redact that because I don't want Nintendo to hear that I'm emulating their games.
Miyamoto will be at your house tomorrow.
It's like, please don't do this. I don't know what I would do if Miyamoto showed up at my house. I'd probably panic, but that really
invite him on for an interview. That's what you got to do.
I wouldn't know what he's saying, but man, that would be wild. But yeah, that really has been my strategic Advance Wars itch, and I was up till like 1:30 last night playing because I lost track of time. And Civ has Civ has that addictive quality where it's just like, oh, I want to do one more turn. Oh, I just need to do this one more thing, one more turn, and then next thing you know, it's 1:30 in the morning. You're like, oh, this is unfortunate. So
we've all been there.
But yeah, that's been pretty much what I've been doing. Looking forward to Stray is coming out this week. Cat game, definitely gonna pick that up. Wife is excited to play cat game, of course. So
that's all the clearance you need to get a new game. If the wife approves, then you're in.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, well, that's easy, no brainer. So that's been pretty much it. So if you're ready, I'd like to jump into the interview phase of the show and just start asking you questions.
Let's do it.
Obviously, I wanted to bring you on to talk about your show, so we're just going to dive into it. You host Switch It Up Podcast, which is a great show about everything Nintendo Switch related, along with sometimes you guys talk about other stuff, like, you recently played Final Fantasy VII Remake, which that's going to come up later for sure. So I was just wondering, what can you kind of tell me about the show's origins? Where did that idea come from? And kind of what the epic origin of Kolby and Tyler is. I think that's an interesting story. So
obviously the story... The story of Switch It Up can't be told without telling the story of Kolby and Tyler. I was born June 3rd, 2001, and that's the day I met Tyler. I've known Tyler literally my entire life. My dad and his dad went to Penn State together at the same time. His dad met his wife at Penn State, and then my wife and... not my wife, good grief. His wife and and my mom are best friends. So they've been family friends forever. I remember when, for the longest time, we would go. He's lived in the same place his whole life. I've kind of bounced around. We would try to see each other once or twice every summer, 'cause that's all the time allowed. Then in 2013, I actually moved to where he's lived his whole life, and I spent 8 years there prior to moving to North Carolina last year. So it wasn't always like, we weren't always the closest when we lived together, just because like in high school, and I hate to use the phrasing, but I was more of like a jock, and he like I was definitely the athlete guy, didn't try hard in school, like kind of like naturally popular, even though I hated the term popular and didn't want anything to do with that. But Tyler was definitely more of like the, I'm not going to say the word nerd, even though that's the word he'd used to call himself, because I have more respect for Tyler than that. But he was definitely more into the technology side of things, very studious, like graduated top 5 in our class, just very, disciplined like that. So, but I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how the video game thing came up. Just one day, I guess I kind of had, I remember, this is one of the stories I'll tell, because this is the story of video games. This is a good one to lead off with.
Nice.
Around my freshman, sophomore year, before I left for a varsity football camp, which was an overnight 3-day camp we did in the summer before the season started. I kind of had an identity crisis, so I got mine out of the way pretty early, where all I'd played for the last couple of years was Call of Duty, because that's what the quote unquote boys played after school. You put on the 360, you play Call of Duty. It was a lot of fun. The only problem was I was just fucking terrible at it. So eventually the high of playing with my friends kind of wore off, because I just wasn't having a good time. And then I didn't play video games for like, maybe a year or two. And then one day I just remember like, just like when you're young, how you have like those like waves that just hit you and like those waves of emotion. You're like, I have no idea where this came from. But that's what happened. Because I remember when I was younger, I would play like Pokemon and those games on the DS with Tyler. And like I was telling my mom one day, like I like these things, like these Nintendo, like kind of like nerdy stuff, but I'm kind of like afraid to express it because I'm, in high school, you're not supposed to be into that kind of stuff when you're an athlete. You're supposed to be all about, sports and working out and, that kind of stuff. But I always had that soft spot for it. So I remember the day before I left football camp, I came home after practice one day and on my bed was a Nintendo DSi that I had won in 3rd grade using a raffle ticket. One raffle ticket. I took $1 out of my mom's purse without her knowing, bought a raffle ticket, put the ticket into the DSi like bidding and won it in 3rd grade. I hadn't seen it for years. So I saw the DS charging and next to it was a brand new copy of Pokemon Black.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my ticket back in. Tyler and I kind of bonded off of that and then just kind of went from there. That was kind of the beginning of, that was the rebirth essentially of Kolby's video game journey. But this time I was playing stuff I had a lot of interest in, and then obviously it kind of fizzled out for a little bit. Then when the Switch and then we got to pick the Switch back up. That's kind of where the podcast started. But I mean, yeah, Tyler's he's my lifelong best friend, so I can't think of anybody else I'd rather do it with. And the show itself, to answer the second part of that question, the show itself actually started on a Walt Disney World bus in June of 2019.
Whoa!
Because I was leaving Hollywood Studios and I was catching the very end of Nintendo's E3 presentation when they showed Breath of the Wild 2, the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Absolutely.
And I was texting Tyler just freaking out because I'd played Breath of the Wild and like we were both freaking out simultaneously, like all caps, like exclamation points, a profanity or two. And then we just we said the one day, we should turn these text threads into a conversation. And then I told him we'll call it, switch it up, and we'll hit the ground running. And that's how the show started.
Ooh, that naming, so good, so good. First of all, I have several thoughts.
So unoriginal looking back on it, but we've weeded out the competition. We are now the #1 Switch It Up podcast.
That's it. Listen, all you gotta do is outlast. That's the key. That's the key to any venture for sure.
Exactly.
I have several thoughts. First of all, nobody ever wins off of one raffle ticket, so that's amazing. That's incredible.
I told you I got my identity crisis out of the way earlier. I also burned all my luck immediately at the age of 8 years old.
Yeah. Well, the second thing I was going to tell you is that not to scare you for future life, but my life's pretty much been a nonstop identity crisis since college. So.
Oh, great. I graduate next year. Can't wait.
Yeah. That's great. No, it'll be fine. But I think that's interesting because despite, we do have a bit of an age gap between us, but your journey weirdly parallels mine. I was kind of in the same boat as you. When I was in high school, I was just playing, you're right, like what the boys were playing. We were playing Halo 3, we were playing Call of Duty, and that's pretty much all we were playing every single night. So I didn't really have, these big old experiences. I missed out on that time, like Mass Effect, and I missed out on Minecraft, and I missed out all these big things that came out around that time. So I think that's cool how, even though there's a bit of an age gap and generation gap between us, it's kind of similar. So that's awesome. In your experience doing the podcast, you guys have been doing this for about 3 years now, I think.
3 years in August.
That's, first of all, congratulations. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Is there anything doing the show you've kind of learned about your tastes, gaming tastes in general? Were there any opinions that you had that have kind of shifted over time? Have you just kind of had any different thoughts about the way you approach gaming since doing the podcast?
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I've discovered is that I love games that tell stories and allow for exploration. Pokemon Black is the most narrative Pokemon game out there. It's the most narrative-driven game they have.
Yes.
It's such a... I think it's the best one. It's such a freaking good. It's so freaking good. It emotionally hits you, which Pokemon really never really done before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love games that tell stories, that want to tell stories. We're in an age now where I think games as a whole are widely accepted as an art. And, people that, put all these hours and effort into telling these stories, I love, I love getting to experience that. The first game we talked about on the show was Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which is the definitive JRPG storytelling experience, given that it takes 60 hours to beat one of the 4 routes. So, I love JRPGs. They're my bread and butter. They're my go-to. If I just because again I'm chasing that story experience. Like I'm not after the high of trying to get a collateral or a bloodthirsty on Call of Duty anymore. I'm after
Seeing
the
your
high
rank just go up.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not trying to get my score streak, my UAV inbound, but
right.
I'm chasing the high of like getting emotionally invested into characters, into worlds, into stories, and that's what I want now. That's what I'm after. Funny enough, an opinion that's changed is that I don't have the time to play these long games anymore. Tyler and I forever herald the take of bang for your buck. If you can get 60 hours out of a $60 game, then it'd be considered a good purchase. Problem is I don't really have 60 hours anymore. With my life technically starting next year, which is a crazy thing to think about, but his too. It's the whole reason we had to put the show on haze to figure out how we're going to keep this alive. But yeah, I'm definitely going to chase shorter experiences, but I'll forever have a soft spot for like, especially like IPs that really grab me and like things that I look at and I'm like, I think I'd really be into this. That's definitely what I'm going to chase first, is that storytelling experience, because we talk about, I'm sure we'll get into Final Fantasy VII talk, but FF7 was like the first of its kind that told stories on that like cinematic level, and like people got really emotionally invested in that. And then that was kind of the game where it's like, oh wait, you can use this platform to express themes and teach people something, and that had never really been done before. So just getting that experience and being introduced to it through Pokemon of all games, which is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But, that I got hooked immediately, and that's what I was after right then and there. A couple other minor opinions that have changed. I thought Paper Mario: The Origami King was a good game when we first talked about it. I had to walk that back. That was a bad take. That was a bad one.
I have a personal love-hate relationship with Paper Mario because it was the game that ultimately spawned out of Super Mario RPG. So it's like I have so much nostalgia for that game. I'm just look at Paper Mario and I'm just like, you're not what I want. Go away.
You're the inferior younger brother.
Exactly. But yeah, I agree with you too. I don't think that's a fairly common take in the Pokemon community, that, or maybe it is, that Gen 5 is really good. It would be my favorite if I didn't have so much nostalgia for Gen 2. I just my rose tinted glasses blind me to all reasons. So
it's okay. I understand.
Yeah.
I share a Discord with a brainless Gen 1er, so I've been through the ringer with him.
That was my childhood, sir. Watch your mouth.
It's the only thing he talks about. I'm like, Gen 5 has a pretty good narrative, and he's like, well, yeah, Gen 1 had Charizard, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill you through the Discord.
Okay. Yeah. Charizard's overrated, but that's fine. Whoa, hot take. But anyways,
no, it's not.
I agree with you. Blastoise is the best Gen 1 starter, but that's fine. We won't go off on that tangent. I kind of, I definitely feel you about, these longer experiences. It's the time being at a premium is one of the things that kept me away from, like, my good friend Tom, who I did side questing podcast with, is famously on the record saying Persona is like his favorite series, and Persona 5 is like the godfather of JRPGs currently, and it's like a 120-hour game, and I'm like, I can't do that. I cannot. It's way too much. But I'm starting to think that I can, because playing Three Houses again for doing the Pixel Project radio, the way I was able to kind of like piecemeal it out and play it over time, I actually really enjoyed that. So now I'm thinking maybe I could do that, and that was partly the catalyst too for wanting to do my Guiding Keys series. Is that since I met my wife and my time became more of a premium, adulthood hit me pretty hard. I hadn't played any Kingdom Hearts game for like 3 years, which was a big deal for me. I normally play at least once a year. And so I found that I can, if I want to, make the time. It is very difficult these days to do that.
Yeah, no, I definitely, and like I'll be honest, video games like aren't my number one passion. That's not the thing I look to do in my free time, or like, not at least not my number one thing.
Listen, that's a good thing.
Video games are, I call the Switch to podcast our passion project. That's because for me anyway, doing it with Tyler and the topic we talk about, that's the passion. Video games by themselves for me aren't necessarily like my number one passion. They're kind of like, if I have some extra time here and there, I'll play it, but hardly ever am I making time in my day to play a game. Whereas like you've had such brilliant people on this show, and they give such great insight to like their stories and the games they play. When I listen to them, I can tell like this is what they do. Like this is what they want to do. They want to learn more about what they buy and what they put into their consoles. Like that's never really been me, unless it's got to be a rarity, like where it's a Final Fantasy VII or a Breath of the Wild, something that really grabs me with my heartstrings. But yeah, I think that too, like it not being the number one thing I look to do in my free times also, like I wouldn't change it. Like I'm perfectly fine with having video games as like a side thing, but that also affects it for sure. Like Persona 5 Royale sounds fantastic. If I had, you said you mentioned Three Houses, how you playing that bits and pieces. Sir, you'd be halfway through Persona 5 Royale. If you,
I would be.
Yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot of time for sure.
Right, and I'd be probably through the first fourth of it if I wasn't playing Kingdom Hearts or Monster Hunter. So I mean,
you're stretched pretty thin.
Yeah,
I see why you had to make that episode yelling at people about gaming announcements.
Dude, it listen, I yell at people a lot, probably not for the best of reasons all the time, but that's just kind of what I've become known for. But you really are right. It just kind of depends on like how you want to like assign your time, and I've chosen to. I've said that early in the year. I'm like looking for shorter experiences, but now the last like 3 or 4 games I played has been Three Houses, and now I've put in. I'm closing. I'm gonna put in like another 100 hours into Monster Hunter. I'm gonna play all the Kingdom Hearts games, which are gonna take between 30 and 50 hours. So yeah, my life is just a mess.
Listen. I hopefully when I'm done with three hopes, I can knock one out of the backlog before Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That's my goal.
That's right. I was on the fence on that one because I have a love-hate relationship with 2, but I think I gotta check it out. I mean,
I loved 1. 1 is one of my favorite games of all time,
I missed 1, if I'm being honest.
I think it's good. I think it's good enough to play like the definitive edition on Switch. I think it's that good. It's such a great story. The voice acting, like it is, oh my god, but it's Xenoblade voice acting. It's British people screaming, but the story itself I was really into, and I like got some really big twists and turns. And from what I've heard, people have played 3. They said like it's really emotional. So that again, like that's back after that's back when I'm after. So I'm looking forward to getting sucked in and crying over these fictional characters that the Xenoblade 3 community is going to stand the hell out of on Twitter.
Right, same. That's what I need. If it's going to break my heart, I'm totally in for sure.
Exactly.
So when people come and listen to the show, is there, I guess I know it's just a passion project between you and Tyler. Is there anything specifically you want them to take away from listening to an episode? Or like you said, it's just, something you and Tyler love talking about and you're hoping that they like feed off of your passion? Or
this is me in real life too. If I can make someone laugh or smile, that's a success for me. Like if the biggest thing to take away from our 3-hour episode on Scarlet Blaze is they laughed at something I said for 3 seconds, that's a win for me. That justifies doing the whole thing. I've hit the point where, good. I'm glad that makes me happy. Like if one person laughs at the episode we release every week, that's enough to keep me going. Because I've hit the point where 3 years in, I feel like every indie podcaster has this point where like numbers are like irrelevant. I look at who listens to the show. I look at how many episodes it gets. Like for like this episode's off to one of the best starts we've ever had for an episode. But it's like okay, cool. But like podcasting's momentum based. It's gonna come and go with indie podcasts. Right. Only the big ones are the ones that catch the momentum and never let go of it. That's not us. We've been doing it for 3 years. It would have happened by now, I think. But so you gotta shift your focus. My number one priority, my 2 reasonings are doing it with Tyler and making people laugh and smile. Like I want to be a voice of positivity. I want to be someone who people can turn to when they can turn on the show when they're having a bad day or need something to cheer them up. And if they can turn on our show and have that safe space for a little bit and, maybe get a laugh or 2 out of them, a smile or 2, that really, makes them feel something good inside, that I'll do the show forever if that's what gets out of people. There's just too much negativity right now in the world. And if I can use my small platform with Tyler to make people smile and give them a good time while listening to 2 college seniors talk about video games, it makes me happy thinking about it.
Listen, I think that's great. I mean, you're talking to a guy whose favorite character of all time is Sora, so I really appreciate the unbridled optimism, and we, especially being in this space too, in video games, and not just in video games, like you said, the entire world, the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a lot of negativity. So, I think just to have these pockets of positivity is something that is desperately needed in not only in video games, but just in general. And that's inspiring because I've kind of taken the same route with my show. I want you to be able to come and just forget for a little while. I mean, if there are certain things I like to talk about, or if there are important things that I think need to be said, like, yelling at the gamers for being an unruly mob or the way people get treated or working conditions, I think that we should speak up for those things as well. So
yeah, for sure.
That's cool. And let me tell you, I definitely get all those things when I listen to an episode of the show. So
good. I'm glad to hear it. And if you're the only one out there, then again, that's enough reason to keep doing it.
I know I'm certainly not the only one, but yeah, and you're just gonna have to put up with me giving you compliments for like an hour, so it's gonna be very uncomfortable.
I was on the Intergalactic Pinecast, and Morgan and I complimented each other for like the first 10 minutes of the episode, and I'm like, well, there goes 17% of the show. What else are we gonna talk about?
Shout out to Morgan. Talk about an example of unbridled positivity. He is certainly has
fantastic.
It in spades.
Definitely, he's fantastic. But yeah, for sure.
Do you have any? Like you said, you've been doing it 3 years, and unfortunately I haven't had time to go back and listen to your entire back catalog of episodes because there are a lot of them.
You don't need to. It's okay.
So you're saying I shouldn't go back to the beginning and start with episode 1?
If you want to listen to the internal MacBook microphone, go for it. But if you don't want to do that, I recommend starting in season 4, where Tyler and I figured out how to record our own waves of audio for the first time.
Oh, hey, that's season 4. That's yesterday. So yeah, okay. Do you have any specific experiences that stand out to you doing the podcast? Like I said, I haven't gone back, and I don't know what you've done over the almost 3 years you have done the show now. Do you have any specific experiences or things related to it that just really stick out to you?
There's a couple. I mean, just right off the top, I love doing it with Tyler. There wouldn't be a show if it weren't for him. So getting to talk to him once a week or however often we get to do it now, and doing an episode with him, that's my biggest reason. I love doing it with him. It's a way for us to stay connected. Like aside from family, Tyler's probably like a top 2 relationship in my life, honestly. He's that important to me. I love him like he's my brother. It was a way for us to stay connected because the show started in 2019. We were both about to go to college for our freshman years. So not that we weren't going to be not disconnected, but it was definitely a way for us to stay connected, and it's become an outlet for us to just talk about something we both love. And so doing it with him has been it's been an honor, and I look forward to doing more of it. But anytime I can get him to laugh, like lose it laugh, because he'll chuckle every now and then. Like a couple times he'll like chuckle when I say something, but when I can get him to laugh to the point where like when he goes back up to say something but can't get it out because he's laughing too hard, I love that. I love getting that out of him because then it just makes me laugh. But I have a couple examples of those. So when the Pokemon Scarlet Violet trailer came out, we do bits occasionally, and they go horribly wrong because we never script them and we only do them in one take. So I tried to do a Spanish accent to imitate the professors from Scarlet and Violet.
Oh no!
And I called Spiggerito the dank Pokemon in a Spanish accent, and I think he was crying because I tried to connect it to 420 because he was a grass cat, but
exactly.
So he lost it there. I played the instrumental of the song "Celebration" by Kool and the Gang and sang about Mario Party Superstars. He laughed at that. And part of that bit was I had MC Ballyhoo, the host from Mario Party 9. I had him come in and give my 2 fake main characters advice. And when I said MC Ballyhoo's name, he lost it. But, so when we talked about Rayquaza fighting Fox and Diddy Kong in Subspace Emissary, that was another one that was pretty funny. Just because of how wild that sentence is to say out loud.
That did happen. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So after Fox crash lands on Donkey and Diddy Kong's island, Rayquaza flies out of the lake. Which is
out of the lake.
Wild. But an experience that sticks out is our Breath of the Wild 2 Theories episode, because the first half of it we recorded in person, and it actually got cut off because they were throwing me a surprise party before I moved away. So we never really finished it in person, but
nice.
So we finished. So one half of it's in person, and the other half is scuffed Skype audio. So I'm sure we're both chomping at the bit to get another crack at that one whenever we get more information on that. So that's just a couple. Like you said, there's so many. I can't pick one that really stands out above the rest of them, but it just one small victory every week, so I get to do it with Tyler. That's really just the catalyst for the show, because you listen to it, you know how smart he is, how intellectual he is, and how like prepared he is when it comes to video games. He just knows his stuff. And I feel like sometimes my job is to just get out of his way. and just like just sometimes tee him up. Like if he needs me to say something, I'll pitch in. But when he gets going, he really I'll take his knowledge over video games over anybody.
For sure. I agree. And I kind of had a similar experience when I did side questing with my buddy Tom. I very much looked at my role on that show was to kind of facilitate. And Tom is such a wealth of infinite knowledge about anything. You can ask him about anything, anime, games, and he knows his stuff. So that's cool. And I think it's very important. I'm going to go off on a tangent now. I'm not like trying to give advice to like the younger kids, but just make sure you hold on to that because I've found, growing up, if you don't make the effort to stay in touch, then people just kind of drift and life just kind of happens. And I've watched my circle of friends shrink from, a decent sized handful to just a small number. So, anything you can do is an excuse to, and this is just a general audience too, anything you can do is an excuse to do a creative outlet with a friend or a person you care about. Very rewarding experience. And it also gives you an excuse to stay in touch, which is very important.
I try to reach out to a handful of friends every couple of months just to check in. So like,
for sure.
But like you said, having this outlet with Tyler, it's been, like, I'm sure, like, it's been crazy that we've been doing the show for this long already. It's really wild.
That is wild. Yeah, that's a very long time. Speaking of how long you've done the show, and I know, like you said, you guys kind of took a little bit of a break to kind of reset after season 3, coming to season 4. I just want to know, and I always ask this question, what is kind of the future trajectory of Switch It Up? What do you think is coming in the future? Do you guys have any kind of ideas, things you're playing with? Things of that nature. I'm looking for the scoop, basically.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. There's nothing too special, but I feel like the show kind of just got like a second wind. Like, this is the first time in a long time that Tyler and I both got off of an episode and we're like, this is really good. Like, and we know it's really good, and we know people are gonna like it, and if they don't, they're wrong. Like, kind of like that attitude about it. Like we both felt really good coming out of the season 4 debut. So it kind of feels like the show got like a second wind almost. Because I don't know if you can hear it in my voice anyway, but like, at the end of season 3, I just kind of got like burned out, tired, which it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing the show for like 142 straight weeks. That's a lot. It's a lot. And we talk about Nintendo, which their least favorite thing to do is tell you about the games they're releasing. So
doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the show going forward, we kind of addressed it earlier. Like, it's going to be more infrequent. Like, I made the joke that we're trying to release episodes weekly on a day that ends in Y. Just because it's in a calendar year from now, like, our lives are going to start, basically, and our careers are going to start. And like you said, the time's going to be just exponentially shrunk. So, but the good news is I don't see an end right now. You had Phil from Deleted Saves on, so shout out to him. That was a great episode. And he, like, said... he already had the retirement plan in full effect, which I was like, holy shit, like that's the goal right there. But I don't see an end for the show, which is crazy to think about because we've been doing it for so long already, and also really cool because it means that Tyler and I have a lot more to talk about when it comes to Nintendo games and the future of Nintendo and what we think is going to happen and how we feel about it. And I think that, just as small as our voices may be, I feel like sometimes ever so rarely we carry some weight. So just looking forward to that. But I think season 4 is going to be telling. We're going to try a bunch of new things. Like I said, maybe some like a big thing we're going to do is steal one thing from every show that we listen to. So we're already off to a good start there. But one of those things might be like you gave me inspiration for the Final Fantasy VII Remake documentary, which I don't know if you feel the same way. I'm so in my own head about recording by myself. It's hell on earth. Because I nitpick every little breath I take, so I have an episode done, like fully produced and done. I just haven't released it yet. So one day, maybe I'll drop that, maybe not. But regardless, Tyler and I are definitely branching out to more people to get people on the show. Definitely more collaboration ideas. That's our focal point right now for this upcoming season.
That's great. Yeah, steal away from everybody. I mean, take what they do if you like it and make your show better. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a huge advocate of stealing. Not like actual stealing, but just, creatively borrowing from people, definitely. And like solo podcasting is its own beast. Like I said, I went solo after taking a break from side questing. And sometimes after having done a creative outlet for so long, especially like as long as you guys did, and really in our space too, where there's pressure to put out an episode every week. You got to have the episode. You got to have the numbers. You got to try and get the algorithm, all that stuff. I think we need to normalize more. It's like, hey, it's okay to take a break. Like, it really is. Or it's okay to take just a week or a couple weeks. And like, that's fine. The people will still be here. And, you know, you're not going to just ruin everything. I think that's very, very important to do. It's something that I do on a regular basis. If I'm just like, even like sometimes it's in the middle of the month, I'll just be like, hey, there's no episode this week. Like I just can't do it. I'm not doing it. Or I was too stressed out. I didn't line anything up. But, yeah, solo podcasting is kind of a skill I developed over several years because this is like my 4th podcast I've attempted to do now. And I did solo episodes throughout the previous 3. And then I spent a good bit of time before like the pandemic happened, like streaming and talking to myself on Twitch. So I kind of just worked on talking to myself. And it's a very, very weird experience because you're just talking to yourself into a microphone.
It's weird for me because I can talk, but like when I'm by myself, like I find myself like running out of breath. It's like I'm so nervous. Like if I fumble once, I'm gonna have to hit like the delete section and just go again. Like it's hell on earth for me. I don't know how you do it. I think it's very impressive that solo pod. Like your podcast sounds so good with guests and like by yourself. Like when I see a 45-minute solo episode, I'm like, this would take me 4 hours to record.
No, just pretty much you have to just be unapologetic about anything that you say and then clean it up in post. I clean up a lot of the ums and my pauses and weird little stumbles that I have just clean it up. And I'm not a very good speaker. I speak faster than my brain can think and I trip over my words a lot. So
that was my big thing too in Introduction to Speech in college. That I just talked really fast.
Yeah, that's true. And everyone should take speech in college. I had to take a lot of speech because I went to business school. So that might have helped out a little bit too, because like pretty much in business school, like 94% of your assignments are just presentations. It's just like, you have to do presentations. Like you're just getting ready to go on Shark Tank and pitch ideas all day or something like that. So
what's it Mr. Wonderful and Mark Cuban are just sitting there listening to you?
Yeah, I'll be like, Mark, I'll take whatever you can give me, man. Just give me season Mavs tickets. That's all I want. That's all the only thing I would want. So
if I can get a Luka Doncic jersey, that'd be fantastic.
Exactly. Well, thanks, Kolby. That's pretty much the end of the questions I had about the show. So I appreciate you sharing with that. So
of course, man.
We're going to take a brief break for a water drink, and then we're going to dive into talking about you specifically and some games that I'm very excited to talk about. All right, Kolby, we're going to switch from talking about the show to talking about everyone's favorite thing to talk about, themselves, you specifically. So I just wanted to know, like I said, it's the Unlockables podcast, so it's the story of video games, people who play them, and the memories made along the way. So I just wanted to know a little bit about where your journey with gaming kind of started. You already touched on it a little bit. You said you kind of went away from it for a little bit and when you were doing different stuff in high school, but where did that whole journey kind of come from and kind of lead you to this moment?
It actually begins with my uncle. My uncle is the biggest Zelda fan I know, and I remember vividly watching him play Twilight Princess in 2006 with the Wii and the motion controls and Link's crossbow training, which is the greatest Zelda spinoff ever.
I can't believe that was in 2006 already.
Oh my God, I know. I know. That was 16 years ago, man. I was around. Like I can now look back then and be like, I was already like 16 years ago. Holy shit! But
yeah, right.
He's the biggest Zelda fan I know, and like even to this day, like he'll come back up later here in my little background gaming story. But My first memories for me personally of playing a game are Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube. I remember.
That's a good one.
That's a great introduction. I couldn't have got off to a better start. If I can go back in time, I would yell at my mom for putting the GameCube in the family yard sale before we moved from New York, and be like, "No, we need this. This is going to save humanity in the year 2022." I miss that thing so much. I look constantly on Mercari about like how much GameCubes cost just so I can have one, but I'm afraid I'll get like a block of wood sent to me because you can't trust Mercari sellers.
Oh, they're GameCube games specifically during the pandemic and GameCube stuff shot up. That's
time.
Brutal.
Like that was my introduction console, so I want it back. Damn it!
Right.
Come on, Fate, God, Whispers from FF7R, do your thing. But
yeah, that's right. Let's go.
Yeah, come on, guys. Like we can't kill you. We're not JRPG heroes, but.
Right.
Yeah. Then after that, kind of gets a little hazy. Like I have vague memories of playing like the Wii. That was the next big one, obviously. My biggest memories from the Wii are Subspace Emissary from Brawl, which I still think is the coolest thing in any Smash Brothers game ever.
It's so cool.
It's so cool, and I hate that people spoiled it on YouTube, which single-handedly caused Sakurai to never do another one. I'll never forgive those people. But yeah, I remember going back and playing that during the pandemic. Like I was like, I went back and played through that. I'm like, this is so freaking cool. It holds up so good. Brawl itself doesn't really hold up great in 2020, but Subspace Emissary definitely does. And then,
it was the MCU before the MCU. It was great Nintendo crossover.
The Russo brothers often say it's their motivation for starting Iron Man. Often. They're like, we played Subspace Emissary and we're like, we called Robert Downey Jr. that day and like, we need to do this.
Yeah, exactly. That was the catalyst.
As they often say in the behind the scenes. But my memory after that's obviously Wii Sports. Everyone played Wii Sports. Everyone was forced to play Wii Sports if you had a Wii. But I'm a big golf guy. So my memories spawn of me trying to shoot 10 under through 9 holes in Wii Sports Golf, like making it my goal to shoot 10 under par, which I've done a couple of times, and it's a great feeling. But a little bit of Super Mario Galaxy 2, some Just Dance with the family, just some random stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, family, everyone played the Wii. The Wii was for gamers and non-gamers. Everyone loved it. But after that, like I said, it's straight to the 360 COD lobbies, which I think the golden days were Modern Warfare 3. That's my favorite Call of Duty game. I remember playing that. I remember we were playing a private lobby 3v3, and I soloed to win, and like I could just remember my friends just screaming in my $15 Turtle Beach headset, like "Let's go!" And I'm like, "Let's go!" The
Turtle Beaches.
Oh my god, I know, right? And the peak of my career so early, but
right.
Yeah, then we do Minecraft, which I've always enjoyed Minecraft more than Call of Duty. I've had the itch to actually get Minecraft just for one of the consoles, just so I can have it and turn on my Disney scent waxer and just play some Minecraft and build a log cabin and just sit there for 3 hours. Be my version of peace. But
just vibe to the soundtrack.
Exactly,
which is just
right? Yeah. No, turn on peaceful mode. No need for stress. But
yeah, right.
Yeah. Then there was that blip I talked about earlier. Then there was the Pokemon White or Pokemon Black, and then a little bit here and there, and then in 2017, when the Switch came out, I remember we were at a family Christmas in New Jersey, and that same uncle, it's tied all together, bought a Switch and had Breath of the Wild, and I played it for like 30 minutes, and I went to my mom, and I'm like, I need this. Like, this is the greatest thing I've ever played in my life. So for Christmas that year, I'd asked for a 3DS, I remember, but by the time I saw the Switch, like the 3DS was like yesterday's coolest thing, no longer in. But that day I went to the Target with my mom, traded in I called the GM of Target, and we agreed to a trade of 3DS, Pokemon Moon, and $100 gift card and a first round pick for all the sports fans out there.
Throw some picks in there.
Yeah, we threw a pick in there. Everyone loves players they don't have for some reason. And then we got the Switch, which was the hottest console at the time. And the story how I got Breath of the Wild will come a little later, but Mario Kart was the first game I got on the Switch, and the Switch has just been a godsend, and it's my favorite console ever, and it's going to be really hard to dethrone it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like that's kind of the journey, honestly. It's not super exciting, but it all led to this. It's kind of had like a second win there when I got Pokemon, because after getting no scope by my friends in a private match on Nuketown, I'm like, I'm kind of just done with this shit. I'm just gonna log off and never come back.
Yeah, exactly. I toughed out the Call of Duty train for a little bit longer, For me, Modern Warfare 2 was peak, because that game was just, looking back at that game, it was just so broken but so bananas. How just insane those lobbies would get. You also kind of miss those like
I do too.
The lobbies, the pregame lobbies where everyone's just like talking. It was like
I would always go into private chat because I was like, I was like the super innocent kid who never wanted to swear, but like they would go in there and raise hell. Like I do remember, I do miss them going in the game chat and like us talking, them just losing their minds. Like I do, because I never really cared that much, so I never got too invested. I would get mad when I died, but I would never like scream because I always had there was always so many people in my house. But my friends, oh my god, like some definitely not my favorite era of gaming, but as far as memories go, like definitely some of my favorites in there.
Right. Yeah, and it's just funny now how none of those multiplayer games nowadays have those like pregame lobbies where you can shit talk people anymore. So
when Twitter says kids will never know what it's like to grow up in an MW2 lobby, they're not kidding.
Dude, you learned things in those lobbies that you didn't know. You really did.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. The Brawl 2, I'm so glad you mentioned Brawl, because Subspace Emissary is so good. One of my proudest gaming moments is I played it with one of my best friends on the hardest difficulty, and we 100%ed it, and that was like
I 100%ed it during COVID too. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. It's hard to 100% that game. I didn't realize how hard that was.
Yeah, just to like find everything is absolutely wild. I do have great shame related to Super Smash Bros. Brawl though, because at the time I wasn't really like into like the competitive scene, quote unquote. God. And to this day, one of my favorite characters of all time in all of video games is Meta Knight. I think he's just so cool. His design is awesome. And so I played Meta Knight and I felt like I was so good. And it wasn't until years later that they were like, Meta Knight is the only character in all of Smash that's in the SS tier and is this band because he's just too good.
It's like,
and I was like,
it's like Meta Knight from Brawl and like Bayonetta from 4. Those are like the two that everyone's like, if you played these characters, like you're gonna burn in hell for eternity.
That's gonna be me. I have great shame, but
I played Marth. I love Marth. Marth's my boy.
There's the Fire Emblem connection too.
That's where it started.
There, for sure.
That's where it started.
I like Marth a lot too. So all right, I'm gonna call an audible a little bit because you mentioned Breath of the Wild, and I've been wanting to talk Breath of the Wild shop with you. I just kind of
let's do it.
You already kind of mentioned it, but just kind of general thoughts on the game or what you did. Because a little bit of background about my experience with Zelda is that I've intermittently played Zelda throughout my entire lifetime. I didn't play Ocarina of Time till much later. I still haven't played Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. So my Zelda is very patchy across my entire life. But Breath of the Wild brought me back into being a fan of Zelda, like hands down. I know there's a lot of contention online and people are sick of like hearing that game is great, but it's fantastic. It's one of the best games I've ever played, hands down. So just so you know where I stand on it.
Good. I'm glad we're seeing eye to eye here. But I guess the story of video games. I guess I'll tell the Breath of the Wild story. I told it a lot because for some reason, I've been inviting on a lot of podcasts recently. We talk about Breath of the Wild.
You have been.
Almost. I know, I'm a busy guy. But, Breath of the Wild, to put it shortly, Breath of the Wild is really special to me because that same year, 2017, that same Christmas, my grandparents had recently gotten divorced, unfortunately. But because of it, my grandfather was able to come out for Christmas, which was a rarity. Like we hardly ever saw him. So for him to come out Christmas was very special, and it was the first year he had ever bought gifts for us. Like because he'd never done the gift buying, and he let us all pick one thing, and that's the game I wanted. So He bought me Breath of the Wild. I went home, put it on my TV in the guest room. The thing I'll always remember with that game when I first got it is like how everyone in the room was like paying attention, because I was in the room with my grandfather, my dad was in his 40s, my mom who was in her late 30s at the time, my younger siblings, but like everyone was looking at the TV like, what is this? Like, even if they never really cared about it, like for that split second had everyone's attention, which is a rarity. Like in a house of, I live with 6 people. Like it's a rarity that at one time everybody's eyes are on the same thing, which for me that was really special. But when that title card hit, I'm like, yeah, this is the greatest game of all time. Like, no doubt about it. This is my favorite game. I refuse to believe that there's anything made that is better than this. But yeah, Breath of the Wild. I can't even like sum it up in the words like without just rambling. But to take a page out of Tyler's book. It's that game. I cried multiple times during that game. Just to get like really serious. Because I just couldn't believe like when I was younger, I had like this notion, and this probably developed like because I only ever played Call of Duty, but like I had this notion that like for some reason like only really good gamers play Zelda, because I've heard it's like this dungeons and you have to find these items that only work on certain things. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that smart to figure it out, but
Right.
like I and being around my uncle who loves Zelda, like, I'd always thought of Zelda, always had this like sacred place like in my mind when it came to video games. I'm like, I don't think I'll be able to touch that because it's so meaningful to people. But I mean, when I got my hands on Breath of the Wild, it was literally life changing. Like the sense of exploration that game gave me, the high that game gave me. It was my only game for a long time. Thankfully, I wouldn't have played anything else. You could have given me the whole Switch library at one time that Christmas, and I would have only played Breath of the Wild. I'm pretty confident. But when I got to Zora's Domain, I cried. That's my favorite place in the entire game. Zora's Domain,
Gorgeous, beautiful.
I almost prefer it when when it's raining. Like I love it there when it's raining. The music's incredible. Places that smell terrible. Rito Village, I think, is up there just because of all the bird people. That place has to smell awful. To tie it back to a question you got last week, but
yeah, for sure.
that place has to reek. Holy shit. But I cried when the memory of Zelda crying played. Despair.
Yeah.
Memory 16. That was heavily like shown in the trailer, but and for some reason everyone got mad. They're like, oh, this isn't a memory. It's not actually part of the story. I'm like, oh, like, dude, this is like a really emotional game right now. Like
it
really
is a part of the story. Just because it's a memory doesn't make it part of the story.
When
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, when Zelda,
you don't get to see it. You don't get to experience it like happen in game, but like
like that was big. Like that was a big moment for the franchise. And when Zelda said, "Courage be not be remembered, for is never forgotten," that was an incredible line there. That got me choked up. And then when I finally beat the game, I just remember like crying. And my mom walked in and she's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I'm just like so happy as the credits were playing. Like, just because like the game was everything I'd ever wanted it to be and more. And just like, it's such a meaningful experience to me, not just because of how I came across it, but you know, when you get into that Hyrule and you just explore and it's the soft melancholy music and you're you're just not like, it's like when Doctor Strange is when he leaves his physical body. That's how I felt playing it. Like, I just felt like I wasn't all the troubles I had been dealing with, and like, you know, there was stuff going on at the time, and there's stuff going on with me now where like I could use that escape. So, you know, maybe it's something I'll fall back on because it's always something I can do and fall back on. But yeah, that game's so important to me. It's literally the only game I'll ever say is like perfect, and it's my favorite game ever. I really don't think anything can beat it. I really don't, just because of how much meaning it has to me.
Yeah, listen, I think we need to definitely normalize crying during video games because they are very emotional. I mean, when Kingdom Hearts 3 ended, I probably cried for like 30 minutes throughout the entire end credits. So they can have very powerful emotions. Yeah, Breath of the Wild brought me into the franchise that I just didn't feel
too.
like
That was my first Zelda game.
me. I'm kind of on the same page you were. I felt like there's a certain prestige to it that I just didn't feel like I should play them. And it brought me back into the franchise in a way that now I'm more open to going back and playing more of those Zelda games. Although I'm afraid of what I'll find when I do go back because I haven't played a lot of them, but I have seen so many of them played, and I've watched videos and video essays on all the different Zeldas and stuff like this. And to me, Breath of the Wild represents Zelda in its purest form. It was what Miyamoto originally intended the series to be when he first created it. When he created Zelda, he said that he got the idea from exploring caves near his house when he was a kid. And that's very much how the first Zelda was. It was just, you're in this world, go explore, do anything in any order that you want. It's very unstructured. And then once you get into like the later Zelda titles, it's a little more structured. Like, it's telling you a specific story. It's telling you why you need to go places. And Breath of the Wild really just unchained you and said, we're not going to do that anymore. He's like, here are specific story beats if you want to follow them, but just go wherever you want to do. And I think if when you're talking about the spirit of the Legend of Zelda, that is the spirit of the Legend of Zelda. I truly believe that, not to like knock any of the other games that came before it, is, you know, especially if people talk how great Ocarina of Time is, and I'm not going to take that away from it. It is a great game. But I think hot take, Breath of the Wild is just, when it comes to the spirit of Zelda, is everything that Zelda's supposed to be, hands down. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah, and I remember reading like when Breath of the Wild was made that Miyamoto was like, yeah, we wanted to go back to Zelda 2 and like that openness and that freedom to explore that they just couldn't convey on the technology at the time because it was 2D sprites. But now it's like I imagine Miyamoto and them are like happy that they've lived long enough and been doing long enough to like see that realized, because it Breath of the Wild, like we talked about it, like Breath of the Wild is one of those games where it's like there was a before Breath of the Wild and there was an after Breath of the Wild. It's one of those landmarks in games that it kind of changed everything. It definitely changed how the open world, everyone's doing an open world game now, which is, I'm not saying Breath of the Wild is the first to do it. It wasn't even the first of its generation. I would give that to Witcher 3, just in terms of how like Witcher 3 was so huge and expansive with its story and characters and exploration. But it's just something different with Breath of the Wild. Like I love it so much, yet I can't put my finger on it at the same time. But like I think it's super special to me. It's super special to you. It's super special to a lot of people just because of that sense of freedom and exploration. And, literally anything you try to do in that game works, which is incredible.
It really is.
So that's really cool. Like you watch speedrunners and you're like, Dude, literally anything you try to do in this game will work. Any and everything you attempt to do is going to work. So it's one of the few games I think that you can actually say that about.
Yeah.
But I can talk forever and ever about it, but I'll cut myself off here to avoid any further, unnecessary spewing.
I love the spewing. So, the other one I wanted to talk to you about, since we're basically answering my questions, talking about the games that you play, is specifically.
I only play 2.
Yeah, no, I so do I. Final Fantasy 9 and Kingdom Hearts. That's the only games I play. So I'm right there with you.
That's it. That's it.
I wanted to ask you about Final Fantasy 7 specifically, and just kind of because that was a game that came out when I was little, and the original Final Fantasy 7 and the original Final Fantasy 9 alongside Super Mario RPG got me into liking RPGs, and I hit Final Fantasy 7 a little bit later in my life. But how did you come across that game, and what was playing? Did you play the original first? Did you play the remake?
I played it
first?
twice. I've played it twice.
The original.
I played the original twice.
Wow. Okay.
So that started actually with Jeff Keighley and his winter pool party at the Game Awards.
Yes.
Sephiroth. I loved that fucking joke. The Jeff Keighley's summer pool party.
Summer pool party.
That was so that made me laugh all day. Like I think Keith said it, and I heard you say it, and I could not stop laughing. But
yeah, I inadvertently stole it from Video Game Donkey too. He said it as well. So
it was. I'm laughing now thinking about it. Like it's just so funny because that's exactly what it was.
Jeff Keighley's summer pool party.
Jeff Keighley's summer pool party. Holy shit. You gotta name the episode that. Kolby and Eric's summer pool party.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Good God. So when Jeff was up there and like everyone's here, at least I thought, and Sephiroth got announced, I'm like, that's the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. I have no idea who he is.
Absolutely.
I'm like, that is the coolest character I've ever seen in my life. I have zero idea who he is, and that's kind of where it started. And
that was for Smash, right?
Yeah, I knew who Cloud was. I knew, like, my only experience with Final Fantasy was I knew who Cloud was, and I somehow knew of the big FF7 spoiler. Like that happens at the end of disc 1.
Oh,
I don't know if we should cover up it's 25 years old at this point.
Yeah, so, that's very much in the zeitgeist. So yeah, even before I played Final Fantasy 7, I knew that spoiler too. So that's just
that's like if you were to take an introduction to video games, like that's in the first lesson.
Oh yeah,
Aerith dies in the original.
This is pretty much.
Yeah, basically, it's like this is the two biggest moments in gaming. We have Pong and Aerith dying in the original FF7.
Right,
those are the number 1 and 2 in that order. But yeah,
there's an important guy named Mario in between there, just so you know.
Yeah. He didn't die though.
No, he didn't die.
We don't feel bad for people who don't die in video games. Come on now.
You're right.
But yeah, I remember I went straight to YouTube and I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then everyone's like saying like Sephiroth, like Tyler even knew who he was, and like looking back on him, I'm kind of like offended that he knew who that guy was and I didn't.
Right.
Like knowing how much I know now, but. I watched the Rad Brad play through it, and I remember I watched his entire playthrough, and he talked about how the original was so special because he played it when he was a kid, and FF7 Remake was the first game he was playing since he became a father, and I'm like, that's really freaking cool that A, you had that connection, and B, it came full circle like that. So I watched that, and then I'm like, that was pretty good, but I still don't know a lot about this, and I came across Maximilian Dude one day, very popular
I love
YouTuber him. He's a big fighting game guy, but he is like literally the Final Fantasy VII Godfather. He knows everything somehow about that property, and he knows everything that's to come. He predicts everything, and he like went deep dive with this lore and like the themes and the characters and like what this all means. And I'm like, good grief, like this is a huge fandom. So right then and there, I started the mission to will this game into my existence. And in doing so, I played the original on my on the Nintendo Switch in 2021. I bought it.
Wow.
So I bought it, and I remember I freaking loved it. I'm like, this holds up so well in 2021. Like, I love turn-based, so that was a big win for me. Obviously the polygons moving around was a little bit different than I'm used to, but I still loved it. Like, I freaking loved the original FF7. That game made me cry too. I didn't cry when Aerith got harpooned, but at the very end, when like you don't know if you've saved the world or not.
Right.
Like, it's very, very open-ended, which I thought was incredible storytelling. But the three like notes, like the and then Aerith's face comes at the very end. I'm like, God damn it! Like, I'm gonna cry. Like, all of humanity could have just been wiped out. But like that. The way that game gets you attached to its characters, I was watching a YouTube video on it, and these guys were like, wait, why the fuck do I care about this, like, a dog, a flower girl, a guy with a gun for an arm,
right?
Like a psychotic swordsman, and just this Tifa, the most normal of them,
right?
Funny enough, but yeah, and her story is, like, she's been, like, slashed in half by Masamune and has no idea who Cloud is. Like, she's the most normal somehow, but, like, why do I care? And I'm like, I asked myself, too, I'm like, why do I care about these guys? But they're all freaking awesome. So I remember I've played that twice. Like, I remember loving it. Like, I thank God for ×3 mode, because I just basically sped ran it.
Oh, yeah.
But then I collected in part of willingness into my life, I collected the amiibos. I got the original Cloud amiibo, and then, graciously enough, Alex from a Random Gamers Corner, he sent me the Player 2 Cloud amiibo as a gift. Oh, cool. Which I thought was super freaking cool. So I had both of those, and then I got like wall art, stuff like that. But Black Friday of last year comes, and I actually bought Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on Black Friday for $30 on the PS5. I didn't get a PS5 till April of this year.
Wow.
So I made a down payment, as Tyler likes to call it, to ensure that I would eventually play this game. And funny enough, I walked into my local GameStop one day just to check, because I like to go in every now and then.
Yeah.
I know GameStop's not the hottest place right now, but I do like to buy my games from there, because the people that sell you the games, they like care. They're not the problem. But
it's not their fault. Their corporate overlords are terrible people.
Yeah, like the CFO just got like fired. Like, there's something's always happening there. But it's not those people actually care about the video games. So I like talking to them. But yeah, I walk in, they're like, yeah, our PS5, we still have our PS5 sale going on. I was like, what the fuck? Like, is this like what do you, the gates of heaven just
That's
opened.
Amazing.
So yeah, I drove home. I'd been saving money for 3 years, and I grabbed my entire savings and bought a PS5 and played Remake 2 days later.
That's amazing that I have yet to see one in the wild. So that's very impressive that you just happened to like stumble across one. That's, man, talk about putting it out in the universe.
We've had two since then. So if Venmo me some money, I guess they have a connection or something, and I'll get you one and send it out to
my wife.
Bay,
my wife, I'm not in that terrible state of Wisconsin. No, please never say that again.
My bad.
No offense to anybody that lives in Wisconsin. I'm just a lifelong Bears fan, and fuck Green Bay Packers. Sorry. Anyways,
there it is.
Yeah. Sorry. Going back on topic. My wife actually got mine on a pre-order that she had to pick up from a store, because I told her.
Shout out her.
Yeah, dude. I fucking love her so much. She went above and beyond to secure one, because I don't like to like ask for things for my birthday, because I'm just like, I'm like an older guy now. I'm like, you don't have to get me anything for my birthday. I just want to like go out and have food and like have a good time or whatever. Like, that's the one day a year I get to go out and like have fun, right? But I'm
gonna cry. I got older for 10 minutes, and we can go like have a drink or something.
But I just, on the offhand, I just mentioned, I was just like, oh, I want like a PS5 for my birthday. Just like offhanded comment. And she like set up Twitter accounts for like follow all the tracking Twitter accounts for like when they were restocking, and like setting up for like email alerts, like all this stuff. And she told me the story. There were like 4 separate times that she like had one in her cart, but she like couldn't finish the order and she didn't get it like
a bot beater.
Yeah, and like the 5th time like she got it, and I was just like, I love you so much. It's great.
Well, you know, she's playing the long game. She has to take like the next 4 birthdays off now.
Yeah, that's why I told her, I'm like, you don't have to get me anything else ever. Like this is
she's good.
You've made me happy. No, not that she'll make me happy. Like I love you, but you know.
Exactly. No, you've done enough. Like your life's mission in this relationship has concluded. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the last game that made me cry too. Was FF7. I didn't cry. I got teary eyed when Cloud jumped off the train. The title card played. I'm like, God damn it! Like I'm finally playing this game.
Yeah, that was. I played it probably about a decade ago. Like in my late teens, early 20s, maybe. So it was before the remake was even announced, or before I even kind of knew how they had like that tech demo on the PS3 and all that stuff. So
wild times.
Coming off the high of that E3, seeing Kingdom Hearts 3 for the first time, which I was absolutely just losing my mind. Then they show just that beautiful cinematic trailer of, like you said, like just of Midgar, and like at the end you hear those 3 notes and it's just Cloud and Barret like walking through people, and I was just like, I was stunned. I'm like, I can't. Good. Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was looking at, and even like getting to play it in not having like the strongest emotional, not as strong connection to 7 as I do to like 9 or some other games, but. Yeah. I just, when I fired it up and you played like that bombing run sequence and like it starts off and you jump off the train, and like I paused for a second. I'm like, I genuinely can't believe like what I'm holding in my hands right now. Like I can't believe that this exists, and I can't believe that this is like something that they did is unbelievable.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I could never put myself. That would be like if Breath of the Wild got remade in like 20 years for me. Like it doesn't need to be. It's too modernized, but. Like if for some reason if they decided to make Breath of the Wild, like that would be me. I would like be like, how is this happening? But I can't imagine like growing up with a game like that and then seeing it remade all these years later. Like that has to be like the most full circle it comes for a video gamer.
If they did 9, I would feel much stronger.
They're gonna do 9.
That the NVIDIA leak has been 100% accurate so far. So in Final Fantasy 9 Remake,
you only talk about it like once an episode. So I'm very aware.
I'm putting it out there in the universe that I would love to see it.
You just will it into your life. That's what I did. You just gotta will it into existence.
It's a relic
watch
of
that Netflix kids show first.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear that. But 9 is very special because 9 is like the last of like the pre-Nomura age of Square Enix of Final Fantasies. So it's kind of like the last bastion of hope before he just takes over and shit just starts going insane, which obviously...
I think he's on his way out now, though, because he's really passing off the reins here for the remake stuff.
He's diving into Kingdom Hearts 4. Like he's exclusively focusing all of his effort on that, and he's turning it into like this...
He's your issue. He's your problem now.
He's combining it with his weird...
He put a Heartless as the final boss in FF7R, and he's like, my work here is done.
And he threw in the ghosts and the time travel stuff. So that's he did what he had to.
He was like he's like Hamaguchi, it's yours now. I've done everything I can do here.
Exactly. I have to go work on my other pet project where I'm trying to square away Disney properties with a long canceled Final Fantasy Versus 13 game that turned into 15, but not really, and whatever the history is there. So yeah, that'll be fun to talk about on the show.
Excuse me, I have size 19 shoes to draw.
Hey, he's got regular size shoes now in the new trailer, so
I don't like it.
No,
I need them.
Well, it shows him barefoot. It shows him barefoot, so it's proof that he has regular size feet. Keith is gonna love this that we're talking about feet on the show. He's just gonna absolutely eat this up. But
when you talk about Sora, you can't help but talk about those.
So it's just like he has regular feet, but just those giant ass fucking shoes. Like it can't be. Like I've tried to run in big shoes before. It's not fun. So. It's not fun at all. So
Bob Iger was like, Mickey cannot be called Mickey Mouse, and Sora needs 3 sizes too big on his shoes. Then you can have Don and Goofy under those 2 conditions,
right?
And they're like done.
It has to look good when we raise Walt Disney from his cryogenically frozen sleep. So,
could you imagine frozen Walt Disney presenting that game at E3 2024?
No, because wasn't he an anti-Semite? I think he was. Man, we're getting deep in the rabbit hole now. So, but yeah, really. So I just wanted to ask briefly here before, because my experience playing 7 and then the remake is a little bit different just because I had some time to gesture on it. So what was your experience like playing like Final Fantasy VII, like you said, in 2021, and then pretty much getting to play the remake like the next year. What was like? How did you feel about that?
I think that obviously you can't really say one's better than the other because I guess the remake trilogy isn't done yet. But
Right.
I found myself a lot more connected to original 7 than I did remake. I think remake does a great job of expanding on the ideas of the original game, and I think it gives you some great extra content. Like Wall Market is insane.
Oh, it's so good.
It's insanity. Like even like the. Like I just spend time running around like the Sector 7 slums at night. Like I live for that stuff, and like the Sector 5 slums, and but there's a lot of filler in that game. Admittedly, like going back to the sewers, like the drum at the very end of the game. There's a bunch of stuff in there that didn't really tickle my fancy. I was kind of ready to get done and over with. But the stuff that does stick out, like the revamped Airbuster fight, the Coliseum, the all that stuff really sticks out to me personally. But like original 7, that's just good God, that's just a landmark in gaming. So just being able to experience that, albeit 24, 23 years later,
right?
It really gave me perspective, and I'm really glad I played it because if you don't have any knowledge of OG 7, there's gonna be some stuff in remake that you don't understand until this is over,
right?
Which is gonna be like. That's insane to think about. But yeah, now it gave me a perspective for sure. I'm very appreciative for the original, and it might be a game where I try to revisit it every couple of years, just because it's not going to get it's done. Like I don't think it's going to age any worse than it already has. Like I think it holds up pretty good. Like I like everything about it. But yeah, 7 Remake is that's the game I've been looking at. That was my most anticipated game forever. So that's obviously the game I'm gonna lean towards when picking between the two. Just because it's newer, the combat's so freaking good, and just there's more like you get to see more of the characters, like just even more of them, like because like in Midgard's only like 6 hours, this one's like 40.
Yeah.
So it's just so much more stuff to do and so much more world to explore and so many more things to see. So that's the game I'm gonna pick between the two. Like I just got done playing the Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge chapter on hard mode.
Oh yeah.
Like that's such a good chapter because like when they die in the original, you don't really care. But like
no, Jesse has like 3 lines of dialogue in the original. That's it. Like you don't know her at all.
Yeah, I know. And now they get like this. They get a whole chapter dedicated to him, and you're like, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like this isn't filler. Like this is actually like good content. You get to learn about her dad, and then you get to go to the annex, and they get all these cool little moments. So FF7 has a lot more of that, which is why I lean. F7R, excuse me, has a lot more of that, and I'm a big lore junkie, so I ate all that up like a pig in the slop. But
yeah,
that's the game I'm going to lean to just because of the meaning it has to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Most anticipated game now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Hopefully coming end of next year. That would be sweet if it did. But yeah, and I'm glad you have that appreciation because nowadays, especially like when you do have conversations, a lot of the conversation is like, oh, well, that's an old game and old games aren't really that good. And people don't tend to give them the light of day just because, we really, looking back on where we've come from and how far we've come, we're very spoiled in what we have today in the terms of the quality of the games and just the choices and the accessibility to them. That, if you got Final Fantasy VII back in the 90s, like that was the one game a year you were going to play it for 600 hours. Like that's just how it was. But I'm glad you have that. And I think we definitely need more of that in just video game discussions as a whole is like, okay, yes, like this game is old and it's outdated and like the practices now are obviously not best practices, but at the time, like this game is very important. Like it's very important for how far we've come, for the direction it took the industry. And like I said, 7 isn't my personal favorite, but I respect the hell out of it for what it was. When you're talking about cultural forces of the 90s, it was certainly one of them. And it still to this day is the most successful of all the Final Fantasy. As far as I'm concerned,
it's its own thing.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it's detached from the mainline Final Fantasy and is its own line of like games and stuff now. Like it's completely created its own identity for itself, which is incredible. So, man, now I'm gonna have to go back and play OG7 again this year because I got the itch. That's great.
It's really freaking good.
Yeah,
really freaking
it
good.
is. Okay, Kolby, I've kind of arrived at the end of the natural part of the interview. We've hit almost my hour and a half ceiling that I kind of keep for the episodes. So I want to give you this time at the end of the show. I kind of just say, shill all the things you want to shill. If you want to tell everyone your socials, if you have something you want to try and sell, that's perfectly fine. You can use this space to do whatever that you wish to do with.
All right. I guess shilling at Kolby_more on Instagram and Twitter, although I think I'm nearing a Twitter retirement, and it's for the better, because Twitter is such a bad place.
It's a wasteland.
I interacted with one Aerith stand, and I'm like, I'm done here. But so I might retire there, but more importantly, go pay attention to the podcast at Switch It Up Pod on Twitter, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you're streaming and listening, like we just said. Season 4 just came out. If you have a Fire Emblem fancy that you want scratch, plenty of content there for you for 3 hours worth. So very proud of that episode. If you enjoy it, please let us know. But I don't really have as you say here, a Patreon, never Discord, never Snake Oil, not really. So yeah, that's kind of really it. I keep a low profile for the better.
Sometimes you have to. It's the grind of social media is exhausting. So that's definitely a good strategy to take. All those socials will be linked in the description of the episode if you want to click and follow. You definitely should. Go check out Switch It Up Podcast Season 4. Very great. If there's nowhere better to go if you want modern Fire Emblem content, it's been fantastic. I'm pretty well versed in the old Fire Emblem games, but the modern stuff I don't know as well. So keeping me informed, doing the Lord's work, I really appreciate that. And as far as my show, Unlockables Podcast, you found us. You're here. Congratulations. Appreciate it. All my socials. Stick around. All my socials are also linked in the description of the episode. And for Switch It Up and Unlockables, if you find yourself Apple, Spotify, all those ones, leave a like, rating or review, whatever the system is for reviews, helps us out for sure and gives the show more visibility. Or if you just, if you hate it and want to leave a 1-star, I eat that shit up. So leave me a 1-star review and I'll fight you. Not to like threaten people.
We've only ever gotten 5 stars, so I'm waiting for the 1-star.
Nice.
I'm not going to celebrate that.
Nice. Yeah, that's when you've really made it. That you're really hitting a nerve with people for sure. But
when people don't like what you do, that means you've made it.
Exactly. But again, Kolby, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you giving me some of your time tonight. It was awesome talking with you for sure. And there will definitely be opportunities in the future where I definitely know I want to talk to Tyler about Monster Hunter. Once I start doing some more Fire Emblem stuff and some other ideas I have for my channel, definitely gonna have you guys on for sure to do some of that stuff too. So
I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks so much for having me. Like this is like a indie bucket list kind of thing for me, being on the show.
Man.
Like I think really, seriously, I think really highly of the show. I think really highly of everyone in our community. Like so this has been really special. Like getting the call, getting the Discord message, it made my day. So hopefully I gave you the best podcast episode ever. If not, we'll have to try again. But thank you so much for having me on.
it was one of the best, hands down. And I don't take compliments well. So
top 15 that you've had.
So this will be episode 19. So the top, or this will be 20 total episodes, or like 20 something.
Oh, so top 20, I'll take it.
Yeah, easily for sure. But
throw a dart between 1 and 20, I'll be happy.
It'll definitely be the most well produced one until the next one, because I try to get better every time. So
listen, if I get to wear that crown for a week, I'll wear it proudly. For
sure. Again, I appreciate it, and your kind words. I'm not good at taking compliments, so I'm just gonna hang up on you now. No, I'm just kidding. But again, and everybody out there, thank you for listening so much. We both appreciate it. And as always, I say at the end of every episode, it's most importantly, take care of yourselves out there.